Been a few hours, but it felt like days. Only been days, but it felt like months.
So, welcome to my channel. I am doing a Q&A today. Don't mind the dogs in the background. They are currently playing. They're playing around the pool and stuff like that. I do have my computer here, so you're going to see me looking down here a lot because that's where all of my the questions are. I'm going to move this a little bit here, so hopefully I'll be able to put the questions up here. We are going to start with Instagram questions. I got a couple of these, a couple repetitive ones, so if there's repetitive ones, I'm not going to put it up on the screen, but I'm just going to rather answer them. Now, I didn't really look at these. I have looked at them, like, briefly, but I didn't really prepare my answers for them. So what you're getting is straight off of my brain. So, let's start with, let's start with like easier questions. Roxy Phoenix Fox, she had asked, when did I get my pups? I want to say Dallas, I got March 3rd or March 1st of 2023. And he's going to be 3 in December of this year. Kratos, I got him, let's see, April 18th of last year, 2024, if I'm right. April? Yeah, because he was born in February, so March, April. That would have been like, he was like 9 weeks old when I took him home. So yeah, I want to say the 18th or 17th of April. Service Lab asks, what are the best machines or supplies to make gear with? If you guys don't know, I have my own gear shop. I'll put it up here right on the screen, at least a picture of it. I'm currently only on Instagram right now. But I don't really know the best machines. I kind of just got one that a lot of people were talking about, which is the Brother SE2000. It's an embroidery machine and a sewing machine in one, and it has a simple 5x7 hoop, which is good enough for me to be able to make 2x6 patches, or leash wraps, and like bigger patches and things like that. It also allows me to make embroidered capes and stuff like that. But the supplies, it depends what you're making. It really depends what you're making. Okay. This person asks, damn, I can't speak for shit. Hold on. The Secret Life of Reed asks, how is training Dallas versus training Kratos? Insanely different. One, because they're two complete opposite breeds, and two, because I was in two completely different parts of my life when I got both of them. When I got Dallas, it was the worst year of my life, if I'm being straight up with you guys. I did not want to be on this earth. I did not want to be here. I was struggling a lot. Dallas was, ironically, the reason I'm still here, but also one of the reasons that I wanted to book it off this planet. You feel me? But in training aspects, I didn't really change up my training too much when it came to either of them. I just noticed with Kratos, I have to be a little bit more softer than I am with Dallas. But at the same time, I could be harsher with him because he's a bigger dog. So mentally, I have to be a little bit softer with him, but physically, I could be harsher with him. Kray also takes a little bit longer to learn some things, but I feel like because he's a bigger dog, it takes him a little bit longer to mature. However, I did rush Dallas a lot. When I first got him, I really pushed him. I rushed him. I burnt him out, actually. And I washed him as a service dog because I didn't think he was going to do it, and then I rehomed him. I rehomed him to my ex-boyfriend. His mom loved him, by the way. She spoiled the hell out of him, but a couple things happened. He was my boyfriend at the time, and then we broke up. But I was like, I'm not going to leave my dog there, you know what I mean? So I ended up taking Dallas back, and he's great. But Def Not Addie, she asks, any tips for scent training, specifically high heart rate? The only tips I have, I've been honestly lacking in high heart rate scent training because I don't want to get my heart that high to take the samples. But I think I may or may not have a video on that. But to sum it up is You have to get your heart rate relatively high and make sure that it's consistent in what it's at. For example, if your heart rate is at 140, don't quote me, but I think it needs to stay at that rate for 5 to 10 minutes before, like, for it to be a genuinely good scent sample. But in areas, you could take saliva, you could take sweat, those scent samples. I believe saliva is the last to change, so it's a little bit harder to take a saliva sample. But with sweat, you can put it in like your elbow crease, anywhere that you sweat a lot. Your elbow crease, your behind your knee, on your neck, like anything there. But once you take it, put it in an airtight container. When you do that, wash your hands, put gloves on, try not to contaminate the scent sample, because when you're training scent samples, you want to make sure the scent is very consistent. So that way you set your dog up for success. And then you just introduce it to the dog. Dallas is being very vocal with Gunner right now. But you introduce it with the dog, mark and reward. You know, there's a lot more in-depth things on it, but any tips that I necessarily have is just making sure everything is consistent and that you know what you're doing before you introduce it to your dog. Because if you don't really know what you're doing, you're going to confuse your dog, which then is going to set you behind on training. Astro Teeny asks, how did you go about teaching Kratos a high and low heart rate? That kind of goes right back to the question that I had just answered. The same way I just explained it. Took a scent sample, marked and reward, taught him, but I kind of stopped because I wasn't being as consistent as I wanted to be, and I didn't want to set him up for failure. Low heart rate, I didn't teach him that. Star Leo asks, do you have any experience, or do you have any breed experience out? I can't today. I don't know how to speak. They ask, do you experience any breed judgment out in public? Example, Kratos, people being scared of Kratos. Absolutely. All the time. But it's less likely that people are scared of him more than people just come up to him and just try to pet him. Dallas, it's more likely that people literally just come up to him or just start talking to him. And I'm like, if he was as well behaved as he is, like, you don't just do that. You know what I mean? It's one of my biggest pet peeves. Which brings us to our next question. Porsche the Service Dog asks, what is your biggest pet peeve about anything dog related? When people just ask or say hi to your dog without asking, or anything, they talk to your dog without asking, in a relatively close space. Now, if somebody we're walking, or like a kid is like, oh my god, like a puppy, that's adorable. That I don't mind. Now, what really pisses me off is grown adults, parents, pointing out service dogs to their children, setting up a bad example of how to react to a service dog. That definitely pisses me off. Or when people judge other people, especially in the dog community, for anything, like literally anything. And people are like, oh, your dog is on this type of food, you're a terrible dog owner. You know what I mean? Or like just people that are just uneducated and aren't willing to open-mindedly have a conversation and be educated about certain things. Like, for example, cropping. A lot of people don't understand why I cropped his ears. And they're like, oh my god. I just got a comment, actually. You're a terrible dog owner because you cropped your dog's ears. As if my dog's life isn't fulfilled because his ears are cropped. You know what I mean? Like, something just... that doesn't make sense. Anyway. Star Leo asks, would you get another bully for service work? Yeah, I would. Would I recommend it to somebody who doesn't know the breed and doesn't know how to train a dog? No, absolutely not. I got him with the intent of training him as a service dog because he's bigger than Dallas and that's what I need, mainly. However, if he doesn't work out as a service dog, I'm definitely going to keep him. I've always wanted a bully for my entire life, you know what I mean? And they're just great dogs and I love them. But if you find like a solid breeder, breeding is very, very important when it comes to American bullies because there are so many different, like, There are so many different backyard breeders when it comes to bullies who care more about the physical appearance than the temperament of their dog, or their temperament. They don't really care about it, and their dog aggressive, or they're human aggressive, or a whole bunch of different things. The dogs are big solid dogs, and that comes with a little bit of an ego, which is why if you don't know what you're doing, then I wouldn't recommend getting one.
Only been a few hours, but it felt like days. Only been days, but it felt like months.